Hey gang, it's Pam from Crochetpreneur.com and Made with a Twist, and I'm here today to talk to you about craft fair inventory, planning, tracking, and making. So stay tuned and learn all about it. Hi again. Hey, welcome, and as I promised, we're going to talk today about craft fair inventory, planning for your inventory, tracking your inventory, and then making your inventory and finding the time. Well, maybe not finding the time. We have to find the time to make inventory, or we don't have a business. So we can talk about time management in another video. But for now, I want to talk about first, this video assumes that you've done a good job in picking your craft fair. And what that entails is communication with the craft fair organizer, if you haven't done it before, to find out what kind of crowd they're expecting, what the demographics are, speaking to other vendors to find out if this is a good show, if people are spending money, if they're in your target market, and if your product matches their expectations. If you're going to a boutique craft fair but you sell brand items like I do, then they may not be wanting your items. They may be wanting more high-priced yarns and more embellishments or whatever, more unique items, whereas I create more of a assembly line fashion where I have 10 or 15 products and I create one in every color or two in every color. So I wouldn't do well at boutique craft fairs, I don't believe. So anyway, just make sure that your products match the fair that you're going to be at, and then we can start talking about setting your goals so that you can decide how much product you need to bring. Now, the way I do it is instead of saying, oh, this craft fair is really big, so I'm going to set my goals really high, and this craft fair is a small craft fair, so I'm going to set my goals really low. I don't do that because the amount of time I spend at each fair is the same, and my time is valuable, whether I spend it at a small church fair or if I spend it at a large fair at a high school or whatever. So my goals are always the same. My bare minimum goal is always a profit of $400 because in an 8-hour fair, that would be $50 an hour. And that's what I've decided is worth my time to spend away from my family when I could be making product or I could be working with clients. So my preference or my goal is that I make $50 in profit per hour at an 8-hour craft fair. So my profit goal is $400, and I know that based on how I price my products, that 50% of my product price is profit. That's over and above my hourly wage, my cost of products, and my business expenses. So I only count that 50% of gross sales as my profit. So if I have a $400 profit goal, then my sales goal will be $800. And then, because each fair has a different booth fee, I then calculate in what the booth fee is. So if the craft fair has a $50 booth fee, then my bare minimum sales goal will be $850. If the booth fee is $100, my bare minimum sales goal is $900. That's the way I do it. I found that's just what works for me. If I don't make $800 at a craft fair, if I don't make a profit of $400 at a craft fair, I don't return because it's just not worth my time. And your business may be different. You may have different goals, and that's great. That's fine. You decide what works for your business, and I suggest that you set that goal for every craft fair that you do, rather than changing your goal based on the fair. Now you may be asking, what about the the strategy that a lot of people use of 10 times booth fee is what they'll be happy with. Well, I don't use that strategy, because if I do a $30 fair and I make $300 in profits, that doesn't make me happy. So I don't do that. And then if I do a $120 fair, so I'm expecting to sell $1,200, that would be great, but that would be my bare minimum goal, and that's not, I don't want to do that. So I like to know ahead of time, always my goal is going to be to sell $800 plus the booth fee in order to have a successful, bare minimum successful craft fair. And then what I do as far as setting my goals is I set a I'll be happy goal. Now my I'll be happy goal is 1.5, sorry, I'm writing on my piece of paper, is 1.5 times the amount of my bare minimum goal. And then I have a sky's the limit goal. This is the goal that I will be thrilled, and I will make sure that I return to this craft fair next year, and I will put in my application and give them my money today before I leave the craft fair. So my sky's the limit goal is 2 times my I'll be happy goal. So I have a spreadsheet that I'll show you in a little bit that I use to calculate all of this out for me so that I can then plan my inventory. So now that we have our goals all set, we need to figure out how much inventory to bring. So my rule of thumb is I like to bring anywhere between 2 to 3 times my gross sales goal in product. So if my sales goal is $900, my gross sales is $900, that means I'm going to bring anywhere between $18 and $2,700 worth of product. However, I don't do it that way specifically because I try to plan for my sky's the limit goal. So say in this hypothetical scenario, my sky's the limit sales goal is $2,500. Then I'm going to try to bring between $5,000 and $7,500 worth of product. That means not the cost of the product, but my retail price of the product. And again, that's all in the spreadsheet. It'll work it out for you. So I know that $7,000 in product seems like a lot of product, and it is. It's several buckets full of product. However, I learned at my second or third craft fair that you can't sell what you don't have, because by noon, the show started at 9, and by noon I was sold out. I had 3 products left on my table that I wouldn't sell because I was taking custom orders for those products. And I don't want that to happen again. So I make sure I bring enough product. So 2 to 3 times, whichever goal you choose. Now I would suggest you choose your sky's the limit goal and bring 2 to 3 times that amount of product. So that's how I do it. And then I use the spreadsheet, again, I'm going to show you that in just a moment, to plan all of my inventory based on what I have. As I create new inventory, I put it into the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet tells me how much more inventory that I need to make. So I just did this last night at home, here at home, and I put in my inventory, and right now I have about $2,000 worth of inventory, so I'm excited because it hasn't even hit fall yet, and so I won't be scrambling this year to create inventory. Usually I start making my inventory in August, and I started early this year because I know that I'm super busy. So that's how I do it. If you don't have a pricing strategy yet, so you don't even know how to price your products, I'm going to put a link in the description here so you can see my pricing strategy, but I do have that built into the spreadsheet as well. So the strategy is built in where you put in your cost, your business expenses, and the time it takes to make the product, and how much you want to pay yourself per hour. It calculates out your wholesale and retail price. And then you actually, it doesn't tell you you have to charge that. You can choose, oh, my battery's going dead. You can choose which price you want to use for your product. So you're not stuck with my calculation, but it is a great guideline for you to help you decide how to price your product. So that's that, and without further ado, let's take a look at the spreadsheet. So here we have the product and inventory spreadsheet, and what we're going to do here is I just want to show you across the bottom. Your instructions are right here. If you click on this bottom tab here, you'll find the instructions, and I'm sorry, I apologize that the nature of this video being vertical doesn't show the entire box, but when you receive the spreadsheet, you'll receive the entire box, obviously, and you can just step by step right through these instructions, but I'm just going to show you real quickly. Important things to notice are type only into the fields that are blue or pink. It might say gray, but it really means pink. I'll try and change that before you get it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I can't show you what I'm talking about. So, blue or pink fields you can type into. All of the gray fields are hidden, so you can't type into them, so the formulas will stay intact. So what you're going to do is click on this pricing and inventory tab at the bottom. It'll bring you to the spreadsheet. Then what I want you to do, the first thing is to scroll over until you see this box that says how much I pay myself per hour for production. This box here. Scroll over till you find the blue, and you see I've typed in $12. That is kind of my basic, what I pay if someone else is making it. I pay $10 an hour for my contract crocheters, so I can change that if I want to, but right now I put $12 because I'm making all of my own product. And I want to pay myself $12 an hour. And so once that's filled in, you can see here it auto-populates to 20 cents per hour. We'll scroll back to the beginning. The next thing we want to do, we've already talked about bare minimum, I'll be happy, and sky's the limit goals. And I told you that my bare minimum net profit for an 8-hour show is $400. So I've typed that into my net profit goal field. My booth fee, hypothetically, here is $100. I've typed that in. And you can see it auto-populated the gross sales goal, the I'll be happy gross sales goal, and the sky's the limit gross sales goal. So that way I know what I'm shooting for, and of course I want the $2,500 gross sales. That would be awesome. Even higher than that would be terrific, but I'll be happy here at this show and any show that's 8 hours long with the $900 gross sales profit goal. Not profit, just goal. So the inventory that I need is already calculated for me, and you can see if I change this, say that's $200, everything else changes as well. So it calculates everything I need for me. So 2 times my sales goal is here, the I'll be happy goal and the sky's the limit goal already auto-populated, and the 3 times the inventory. So I always pick something between the 2 times and the 3 times the sales goal. Now you'll see it already tells me what I have on hand, and that's because I've added a couple of products down here, and I'll show you how to do that. You can see in these pink fields, this is where I put my product names. So I've placed 2 hypothetical products in here, a newsboy hat that I've already calculated out. Let's say the color is blue. I can change my variations, my sizes and colors here. I just list them. If I have small and medium, I would put blue small, blue medium here, and then I add my quantities in these blue sections. So let's do that for the fingerless gloves just so you can see how it works. Fingerless gloves, my supplies cost is $3. Time to produce in minutes is 45 minutes. And it's already added my average business expense per item because I included that here. The way I came up with that number is that I took all of my business expenses from last year and I divided it by the number of products that I sold. And I came up with $3 was my average business expense per item. So that's what I'm going to use for this year as well. I hope it's actually less than that, but that's all profit. So I'm going to err on the side of making the same amount of sales and the same amount of expenses as last year, because that sometimes you just have to guess. So here it tells me my wholesale price should be $19.50 and my suggested retail price is $30. Now, since I don't sell wholesale any longer, I usually pick a number that is in between those two to make it, I still get a great profit and my customers get a great price. And I always like my sales to be win-win. So I'm going to put here my fingerless gloves are $25. And again, I have blue because apparently I've only made blue items, and I have one on hand. As I add that number in here, you can see that these numbers have changed. It tells me on this line, the value on hand per product is I have $25 in fingerless gloves. Then up here, it tells me my total value on hand is $57, and it calculates how much more product I need to be ready for these sales goals. So ultimately, I'm probably shooting for about $6,000 in product. So you can see I have a lot of work to do. Now I actually have more product on hand than this. I just haven't filled this in yet. So that's how you keep track. Now, this is handy because I add all of my color variations down here, and I try for my first show to have at least one of every color. Now you don't have to do that. That's the way I do it. And then I see what sells for that show, and I make 2 of my highest, most popular items. So for the next show, that's just the way I do it. You can see what works for your business, but so far it's been good for me. I have about 15 different colors that I offer. My most popular, I know, are the neutral colors, but I am also known for having some great other color options for my clients, so my customers. So I keep both on hand, colorful and neutral. So there we have it. That's how that works. And now when I see that this is how much inventory I need, I go over to my spreadsheet that I have specifically for what I need to make, and I fill that out as to how much more I need to make of each item. And then I divide it by how many days are left before my first show, and I lost my train of thought. When I do that, I find out how many products I need to make each day to stay on point and stay with my goals for product inventory. So there you have it. That is the product pricing and inventory spreadsheet that you can get by clicking on the link in the description below, and I will send it straight to you so you can use it for your craft fair planning as well. So that's the tool I use to keep track of my inventory, to know what my goals are, how much inventory I need to bring, how much inventory I have on hand, and how much inventory I need to make. Now, I touched briefly on how I figure out how much product I need to make each day in order to be ready for my craft fairs. So I just want to go into that a little bit more to make it a little easier for you. So I'm going to talk some hypotheticals, but say as it is today, after I did my inventory last night, I found out I need about $5,000 more of inventory. And I know that in my business, the average price of my products is $25. So that takes into account my lower priced ice cream cozies and my higher priced garments. So I take all of that into consideration, and I know that the average price for my products is $25. If I take the $5,000, divide that by 25, I know that I need 200 more products before my first craft fair. I also know that it's 3 months until my first craft fair. So that's 90 days. I need 200 products. I have 90 days. If I divide 200 by 90, I realize I need 2.2 products per day in order to be ready for my first craft fair. And that isn't an ideal world. And I know that it's going to take me some extra time to add product tags and to add sales tags and to prepare my booth for the fair. So I want to be ready ahead of time so that I can do all those little details in the end, because I may be changing my prices, so I don't know about that yet. And anyway, so my plan right now is to make 4 products per day, start to finish, except for the tags, because I may be ordering new tags. Shout out to All This Wood. All This Wood? Yes, it's All This Wood. Yes, I turned off my phone and went to check because I wanted to make sure I get it right. I do love them. They do amazing work and they have a great turnaround time. And anyway, this isn't a plug for All This Wood, but apparently it is. I'll put a link to their shop in the description. All right, so anyway, I need to make 4 pieces of inventory, 4 products each day in order to be ready for the craft fair. And that's how I do it. The last thing I wanted to address is, I know you may be thinking that's a lot of inventory. If you're planning for 2 to 3 times your sales goal, that means you end up with 1 to 2 times the product at the end of your craft fairs. That's not usually the case because I plan for that, and I usually end up with about $1,000 worth of products at the end of my craft fair season. And so what do I do with that? Do I just have it sitting around the house? No. I sell it on Etsy. I am building my own webpage, so I'll be selling it on my own shop. I also give some as gifts. I have a sale in my neighborhood to have my neighbors come on over, and I set up a little pop-up shop in my living room. And I also donate. I have built into my business plan the plan to donate some of my products every year to local foster care families, to domestic shelters, and to the homeless shelter. So I don't end up with a whole lot of inventory. I probably have half of a bin of inventory right now that was left over from last year. Other than that, I get rid of it. Hopefully I sell it, but I love to donate it too. So that's my plan. That's what I do. I hope you found this video helpful. I'm going to put lots of links for you in the description of this video. There will be a link for you to sign up to be a subscriber to my newsletter, and I'll automatically send you a copy of that spreadsheet when you sign up. So there's that. I'll put a link to my pricing strategy. I will put a link to All This Wood, and that's it. All right. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on Instagram so we can stay connected, and you'll get to watch the next video, which will be coming out next week. All right, take care.